There are days when I wonder how I keep going. And there are days where I wonder how could I not.
You're almost not blaming the world around you right now.
I'm not blaming the world around me at all. A lot of people will, you know, it's his fault, it's their fault, it's their fault. You know what? Just own it, you know what I mean?
I just took it, Bobby.
Oh my God.
You know what I mean? The ground, Hector! Get out of your homo! Where you been?
Ultimately, I hope this achieves half what you're hoping it achieves.
Yeah.
Because if it achieves as much as that, then we've got somewhere.
So Rab, the way I wanted to start this off was for you to just tell us a bit about yourself.
Right. My name's Robert Durbin.
Right.
My mates call me Rab. I'm from a town called Kirkcaldy in Fife, which is just above Edinburgh, just below Dundee. I've been in England now for just short of 30 years. I've spent the last 6 years or so homeless. Before that I was relatively alright, you know, painter and decorator by trade. I had a house back in Scotland, mortgage, all that. Then I came down to England. So yeah, and lived in Bolton for just over 20 years. Been in Manchester for just over 3, I mean. And all of the 3 I've been homeless.
All of the 3 you've been homeless?
I've been in Manchester, yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
All right, the years.
Manchester told me to go back to Bolton.
Yeah, yeah.
And Bolton wouldn't help me because in their mind I made myself deliberately homeless.
Right.
So they wouldn't help me. And I was put in a pretty awkward situation for me to make that decision.
Yeah.
But I willingly made that decision to keep my dog. And I would do it again, to be honest, even knowing what I know now. But, you know, it's a lot of people think I'm wrong for it. A lot of people think you take a dog on, it's a dog for life. You know, the adverts say at Christmas time, you get a dog, you keep it for life. Yeah. You take that responsibility, it's a responsibility nonetheless.
Yeah.
So I took that responsibility and I took it seriously. And when my landlord gave me the choice to keep my flat or lose my dog, I decided to lose my flat. And I would do it again. And that was basically the start of the end, if you want. And ever since then, I've struggled getting somewhere to stay. For all of the above reasons.
Yeah.
And that is the short version.
Right, okay.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
I am now trying to bounce back again.
Right. For the viewers watching, I met Rab on Monday. I was actually sort of looking for someone else. One of your friends, I believe.
Yeah, Martin,
your friend. And I saw Rab. And this is a video that I wanted to make, right? And you'll see by the title. I'm not sure exactly what it's going to be, but what I want to put across is there's a whole world, I believe, that exists, that day to day that coincides with our world, but we don't really, you know, we just walk past them. We don't.
We're invisible.
We're invisible people. That's one of the titles.
we're seen, but
just,
people try not to.
You're inside, but people are almost
Yeah.
blind to it.
Yeah.
It's like almost a part of furniture.
Yeah.
And what I want to give the viewers here, and you, I guess, the opportunity to do, is to, the life you live is amongst us, is parallel to us, right? I mean, I come up and down this road every day, and I know you do yourself, but the life and the experience we have are perhaps polar opposites.
Absolutely.
Sorry.
Absolutely.
And that's really what I wanted to extract.
It's the reason why I agreed to do this as well, you know, because when you explained it to me, what your idea was, you know what, it rang true somewhere in there, you know, it reached a spot, you know, where I thought, you know what, like I said, I've spoke to students before, you know, they were interested in what it's like being homeless and whatnot, but this is a different concept altogether. This is actually an attempt to open people's eyes, to let them see what is actually going on. Because we are stereotyped. If we're homeless, we're either thieves, druggies, alcoholics, can't be trusted in one way or another.
Do you think those are valid stereotypes? Where do you think they come from?
I think they're valid to an extent. The problem is 100% of us get tired of the same brush.
Yeah.
Like for example, the lassie that was just sat there a minute ago, did you see her?
I did, yeah.
Yeah? She's not homeless.
Yeah, it's quite well known.
There's a group of them.
Yeah.
I say they're Romanian, but they're probably not, but they're from Europe somewhere, right?
Right.
And there's a group of them.
Yeah.
Right? And they all come out about 8, 9 o'clock at night, and they'll sit for 2 or 3 hours, and we all know they're not homeless. Right? And even us that are sat down begging, trying to get by, they will come by. She would actually sit right next to me. Yeah.
Sorry.
No.
Sorry about that.
No, that's fine. But she would actually sit next to me, begging.
Oh, literally right next to you?
I mean, literally about 5 or 6 feet next to me. Yeah. Now, common courtesy, give it at least 200 yards. You know what I mean? That way, we all make money.
Yeah.
You know, or have a chance to make money.
Yeah.
But they don't care. They will sit right next. They'll sit on your lap if they thought they could get away with it. And you know, and it's so because they're not homeless, yeah. And we all know that. But that's by the by. Maybe they're having problems with benefits. Maybe whatever. I'm not. I don't even care. I only care to the extent that it affects me. Yeah.
How would you
because,
say
for example, a lot of the people that ignore us, right? Now, an example I gave you the other night on Monday when I met you. I won't ask for a cigarette. I'll offer to buy a cigarette. Right?
I think that's being in the position that you're in, not to belittle it, but that's quite a massive thing to do, really.
I think it is as well, and I think you should.
It shows your character.
I think it's respectful.
It's almost beyond respect.
I don't want it. I do want it, but I'm not asking you for it.
Yeah.
I'm asking to buy it from you.
Yeah.
But if I'm lucky enough to get an answer, because half the time I just get blanked, you know, or it's the last one, you know.
Right, it's the last one.
I've joked the last few years, there's a shortage of cigarettes in Lancashire because everyone's on the last cigarette, you know what I mean? But anyway, and if we ask somebody for money, which I don't do, because if someone's going to give you money, they're going to do it whether you ask them or not. But they will ask, and please sir, can I have some? Please, can you spare some money?
Is that that group kind of thing?
And a couple of English lasses do it as well. Like the lassie that asked us back there.
Yeah.
Asked us for the pound. Yeah. Now she knows I sit begging, right? But she still asks us anyway. You know what I mean? But she's one of the worst offenders. She will ask you, and it's always a pound for food, and it never goes on food. You know what I mean? So I know it's long-winded, and I apologise.
No.
But this is the end result of your question, yeah? We get ignored because they think it's drugs, alcohol, and yes, for the most part, it is justified.
You would say for the most part?
For the most part. A lot of people are addicts, a lot of people, whether it's drink or drugs, you know. And I reckon they get hounded that much, people in general, for saying, and there's that many of us. I remember last weekend.
We're not going to go, do you know what I mean? I don't know who's going to go there.
I think it was Friday or Saturday last weekend. I think there was either 14 or 17 people out begging just on this Curly Mile. Do you know what I mean? So, between...
Just for the people who don't know, we're on the Curry Mile or Winslow Road in Manchester.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, and it's quite, I think I've heard that Manchester, I mean this is a couple of years ago, I'm sure it's not changed, that the homeless situation in Manchester is quite severe compared to other parts of the UK.
It's funny actually, because I came here from Bolton, as I've already told you, and when I was there, the amount of homeless living on the streets was maybe double digits, between 15 and 20. It doesn't, does it? No. But for Bolton, it was quite a lot, yeah, and we were getting little or no help whatsoever, yeah. I don't know if you remember the storm, the Beast from the East.
I've heard of the phrase.
Right, it was a great big massive storm, a double storm in fact, it came, and I was living on the streets from that. And the most contact I had from the council was when we had that storm, and they were coming out every morning to make sure I was still alive. Do you know what I mean?
But they didn't house you or anything like that?
But then once that had gone, that was it. Contact before, non-existent. Contact after, non-existent. But while that storm was there, every morning to make sure I'm alive, you know. And so the last time I got arrested for begging, I thought,
I didn't know you can get arrested for begging. I don't know if anyone else is aware of that.
to my knowledge, begging itself is a criminal offence. The charge dates back to the 1800s, and it even includes the word alms, A-L-M-S, right? Because you say alms for the poor, yeah?
Right.
And the charge is that old, it's still got that word in it, yeah? And so I got arrested. You can get arrested, but it's not a jailable offence, to my knowledge. Unless, for example, you get a court order, say a conditional discharge, a suspended sentence or whatnot, and if you then breach that again, you can then be jailed for it. Which is the one time I got jailed, I ended up with 5 months. Do 3, get 5, do 3. So
And that was for begging.
it was a suspended sentence, but yeah, ultimately. My last criminal offence was in 1995, and
A long time ago.
I chose begging as a way of not going back to that.
Right.
Ironically, I now have more charges for begging and begging related than anything else, which is crazy. I got 100 charges just in the space of 1 year.
In 1 year? That's
Just
like,
for begging.
that's
Just for
literally,
begging.
What, 2 a
The
week?
PCSOs used to dodge other beggars just to get to me.
So, how much what?
Thanks.
So, where were we at? Sorry? It was the offences you were speaking about. Yeah, so
100 in a year,
100 in a year.
at least.
Yeah.
Yeah. So as a result of that, because I'm quite infamous for it in Bolton, as I've just found out, because my baby sister, who I've just got back in touch with after 20 years, even she knew about it.
Right,
It was in the papers. I was in the papers, sorry, for it all. And even she found out about it in Scotland. So
that was the 100. Was that what was in the papers? What was in the papers?
Well, I don't know specifics of it, but apparently she found out about me being homeless and being charged and all that from Scotland. So yeah, I'm infamous for all the wrong reasons.
Yeah. Yeah, right, okay.
But to be honest, I went through a phase where I didn't care. No one was helping me when I was screaming for help, and I was being judged for all the wrong reasons. Yes, I had a drug habit at the time.
What caused that drug habit, if you don't mind me asking? What was it? The reason I asked about sort of what drug it was and you know, that kind of thing is because as a British Pakistani Muslim in that community, there's a lot of, say, weed smoking. I know it's common anyway in the UK, you know, this age. I'm not saying specific, but it's based on my experience is what I'm saying. And I've always heard that you drank other things. A gateway drug, that's the term. And did you, is it that type of thing that happened with yourself, or?
Yes, but not for the reasons they make out. I do not see it as a gateway drug. However, it kind of is, only so far as that's how you meet the people to get access. But you don't get one addiction that leads on to another, in my opinion.
Right.
Certainly not what happened with me. But I did start out smoking cannabis, and on the outside it looks like I worked my way up, and I suppose I did.
Because a lot of what I hear growing up as a 22-year-old, what I've heard is, you start off with, in my generation anyway, they've got these vape pens, right? You start off with that, and you go on to cigarettes. That's going to lead you on to weed. Before you know it, you're going to be, a crackhead on the street begging. This is sorry to say, but this is what
No.
This is the type of thing the rhetoric that I've heard. And I just wanted to hear what you think about that. And if you
See, this is good for me as it is for you, yeah, because you want to hear my perspective, and it's good to hear your perspective as well, because I don't know this stuff either.
I'm not saying I agree with that.
Oh no. It's just another opinion that I like to hear.
Yeah, that type of thing is said quite a lot in society.
We all have an opinion, right? We all have our viewpoints and all that, and I like to hear them just as much as you want to, yeah? Now, I don't believe the gateway, other than that's how you get access, right? Although it looks that way. My opinion is, you don't lead on to the harder drugs without something being broken, if you understand. There's got to be a reason for it,
Is that like family issues and that kind of thing?
For example, yes. My poison of choice was heroin, because it helped me not deal with my issues, and I have several of them, which, to be honest, I spent a lot of money and a lot of time and effort into burying them as deep as I could. And like I said the other day, you caught me on a good day, because from your perspective, not from mine, because it's all been opened up again with my younger sister. So I'm being forced into deal with them, which I could have done without, to be honest, but I'll do anything for my baby sister. And I thought I did. I thought I protected her from a lot of it, but apparently I didn't. Not enough anyway. So that's why I ended up doing the heroin. And yes. One good thing I can say about it is, in the 30 years that I did use it, I never stole for it.
30 years?
30 years, yeah.
You don't, you see a lot of photos online and stuff. You don't look like someone who's, do you know what I mean?
I'll take that all day long. I'll take that as a compliment. I'm 49 next week, and I started with cannabis 2 weeks before my 18th birthday, and
Give us a little nod.
that's the one thing I always said I would never give up, but I did. Because cannabis, I think, is harmless. It's marijuana that I think is harmless, because it's so much more potent, and the government will have you believe that they are so dangerous for mental wise, but it's the marijuana that I feel is dangerous upstairs. It does affect you and it can cause problems. A bit like amphetamine and cocaine, they have similar effects as well, psychosis and the likes. So yes, the government will say all kinds to badmouth Although at the end of the day, more people die every year from smoking and drinking than all the illegal drugs combined, and then some. You know, so
But these cigarettes are taxed, isn't it? So the government does make money off it.
same with drink.
Yeah.
You know,
Whereas
so
they don't make. Well, I think a lot is changing in terms of cannabis and that type of thing.
yes,
how-
they are
sorry.
starting to open their eyes with it. Yeah, and
Well, it's a big market. There's enough money in it. So
I used to believe that it should be legalized. Then I no longer believe that. I read a book by some top doctor called The Drugs War and Why It Doesn't Work. And he was of the opinion that it shouldn't be legalized, but it should be decriminalized. Not just cannabis, I mean all of them, even the Class A's. And he believed that pure and simple because when it's decriminalized, first of all, we don't get charged with it for using it or being in possession of it. And second of all, the government can make money back off of it to help with getting us into treatment, rehab and detox and whatnot, you know. So it benefits on both sides, you know, and that's what I agree with. Legalization, no, because then taxes will go through the roof like with cigarettes and alcohol. I used to be able to buy 10 Regal King size for 54 pence, 20 for £1.8, you know what I mean? Regal King, and they were one of the top brands. Now you're talking between 10 and 15 pounds for 20, you know. It's a joke, and that's just in 30 years, 40 years. You know, it's a joke how much it's gone up. And yet they make so much money off it that they will not give it up. The only concession they've given up on is advertising. You know,
yeah, they're banned advertising.
and that's the closest they'll come, because these are far more dangerous. When I was smoking cannabis, for example, I was smoking 40 cigarettes a day, then I started smoking cannabis, and I would only put a cigarette in the joint. I then went down to at most 6 a day. So from 40 cigarettes a day down to 6, and that was only in joints. So I didn't need to use cigarette patches or anything, I just needed to smoke cannabis. That got me down straight away.
What I wanted to ask is, especially in an affluent area like this, how accessible are these drugs to homeless people? Right, the reality is if you're homeless, chances are you don't have a lot of cash.
Yeah.
How cheap are drugs? How accessible are they? Do people approach you for them? Do you have to?
Right.
How does this sort of thing work?
For example, I won't speak about the local area. Piccadilly Gardens, for example.
So that's the right in the
Centre,
centre
yeah,
of Manchester.
yeah. I would get approached, for example, Spice. I don't smoke it, never have, never will. I think it's an evil drug.
As a scary drug.
Yes. I smoked it once by accident and that put me off it for life. I couldn't speak or move for like 2-3 hours. I could have been arrested and they'd have to carry me off, literally carry me. But I would get approached at least half a dozen times a day from people wanting to sell me it. And that's not including the people asking me if I knew of anyone who had it.
Sorry, people are selling it, and so there's plenty of people trying to sell it, and there's plenty of people looking to buy it.
Yeah.
So the market is quite
It's vast.
on both ends.
Yeah.
There's loads of people selling, loads of people buying.
Yeah. To be honest, it's not an easy thing to admit, but I suppose it is really. We couldn't live the life we live and go through the things we go through and survive going through the things we go through without them.
Yeah. Is that without drugs?
Yeah. The abuse that we take, both physical and mental, never mind from other home, I mean from Joe Public. I've got a leg ulcer, which I got from being in a tent that got set on fire while I was in it. And I was lucky enough to get out of it with just a burn on my leg. and it got infected, which turned it into an ulcer. And that was from kids setting my tent on fire.
Do you know how old roughly?
From the glimpse that I got, because I only caught the back of them when I dived out, obviously I was only focused on getting out of the tent. I had a gas cooker in there which exploded minutes after I got out of it. So I only caught a glimpse of them. So I would say they were mid-teenage to late teenage, 16 to 19-ish.
It's old enough to know better then.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
Just on this sort of topic, one of the things I wanted to ask, you can continue answering, but yeah, just to sort of move it up. I wanted to ask also what it's like day to day. What a day, almost a day in your life is like. But you're almost answering the question here as well.
Yeah.
In terms of like dealing with other people, other homeless people, the authorities, food.
We all do things differently. My personal routine, I come down here about 1 o'clock-ish.
Where do you come from? You don't have to disclose the
I
location.
stay at a friend's most of the time.
Is that a house then?
Yeah, I sofa surf at the moment. But for the most part, I am on the. I'll say half the week I'm on the streets and half because I can only stay out for like 3 nights a week before it affects his tendency. So, and the last thing I want is to affect his tendency. He's helping me out at the end of the day. So, I alternate it. One night, and
Do you ever do it based on the weather?
no.
Because today it's been such. I mean, it's still raining. We're on the shelter, but how does the weather affect?
I slept out in the beast from the east, mate, and that was. People would, how the hell do you do it? And I used to joke, I'm from Scotland, mate. This is nothing. I've got antifreeze in my blood, and it was an ongoing joke for that whole winter, and that is part of it. But for the most part, when I'm in my sleeping bag, I'm fine. But when I'm out walking about, that's when I tend to feel the cold more than anything.
So you have a sleeping bag that you sleep in?
Yeah.
Do you have it with you or?
Not at the moment, it's in my friends, because I knew I was meeting you.
All right.
Like I said earlier, I had to take a couple of days off. My sister sent me some money down, so I was okay for staying back a couple of days. Plus, I was meeting you. I was meant to meet you last night, but I couldn't for whatever reasons, and then we agreed to meet tonight. So, and I wasn't going to let you down 2 nights in a row. So.
No, you didn't let me down. It's not
No, I feel I did, because
you didn't.
I made a promise, which...
No, but you didn't promise the day or time, so... I mentioned the week after, so it was just, are you free, if you're not,
Yeah.
I mean, I live 5 minutes away. So.
I made an agreement, so I intended to keep that agreement, is what I'm getting at, So.
That's, don't worry about it, put it that way. I don't think that's your fault.
I'm not, but,
You have to say it for the camera, and
Yeah. Just for you guys.
Just for these guys, yeah. So the weather doesn't affect you then?
Of course, I mean, when you piss wet through, of course it bothers you.
But the first thing, because I was trying to put myself in your shoes, and I'm sure people are thinking the same, right? Now me just being a bit, I won't use the word, but a bit of a female cat, right? I can't deal with like vermin, rats and mice.
Right.
And spiders and stuff as well, right? I've boxed for 8 years in my life, so if anybody wants it, do you know what I mean? I'm not afraid, do you know what I mean? But when it comes to spiders...
Well, I tell you what, now I'm going to put the fear of God into you.
I'm a bit of a coward.
Now I'm going to put the fear of God into you.
It's either fight or flight for me with those
things. Because apparently there's a statistic, right?
You're not about to come out here.
Whether you're homeless or not, right? Even if you live in houses, right? Apparently in your lifetime, you're meant to swallow, intentionally or not, I think it's 8 or 10 spiders through them going in your mouth or whatever, up your nose or whatever.
And is that when you cough, wake up coughing? Yeah, that's a spider going down.
I don't know, but there is.
I have heard of it as well.
Yeah. So whether we intend it or not, whether you're homeless or not.
Yeah.
It's irrelevant.
But is it a lot worse, especially around here? With the amount of restaurants and stuff?
You know what, actually? For example, the rats, I've seen more in the city centre than I have up here. You know, the city centre is really bad for rats. Yeah, man. I remember one night, me and my friend were sat in one of the back alleys, and we saw a whole family, and I mean, talking about 10 or 15
Rats.
these rats just diving backwards and forwards beneath. And I mean, people were walking by them, and the people were more scared of the rats than the rats were of them. The rats were just stood there. Yeah, what are you looking at? Do one, you know. Yeah.
Does it affect you sleeping out with that? Or do you, I mean...
It used to.
Yeah.
It used to. But then I find that they don't really bother me, so I don't bother them.
Do you ever have them running over you? And stuff?
No.
They just stay away?
Sorry?
They just stay away?
For some reason or other, yeah. Yeah.
They must know the heritage, isn't it?
You know I'm Scottish, that's what it is.
They just don't do that.
No, it's good for them. No, I've never had any problems with them, no.
So if I could just, this is a bit all over the place, sorry guys. It's my fault, it's my first time doing this.
It's going to re-edit it later.
I'm going to re-edit it later. Yeah, it takes me about my last video took a month to edit.
Right.
Which is absolutely ridiculous. I've heard people say, oh, it used to take me 3 hours, I can do it in half an hour now.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I don't know how to do it. But anyway, the conversation's been great, so I don't think there'll be too much credit. What I wanted to ask is just to take it back a bit, was back to your working life.
Right.
And what your working life was like and how you went from work to unemployment, I take it.
Not very well. I didn't take it very well.
No, what I mean is, so you've gone from, you had a working life.
Yeah.
You said you had a mortgage as well.
Yeah.
So it's a proper, working class kind of thing, right?
I was a part of society, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know, with a normal job and, I mean, you can go into it. And you went from that to, I take it now, are you unemployed now?
Yeah.
Completely unemployed? Yeah. And what was that transition?
Hard.
What caused it? Would you say the average person walking around could end up homeless one day? Because I think
In a heartbeat.
I think a lot of people think
They don't realise that another statistic that I heard as well is everyone, and I mean yourself, you are 2 paydays away from being on the streets.
Yeah.
Whether it's through mortgages, loans, debt, whatever, yeah. But that apparently is a true fact, you know. And
I think it's most people they live paycheck to paycheck.
yeah.
So
yeah.
by the end of the month they haven't got anything, and if that next paycheck doesn't come through, and what happens is if it goes 2 or 3 months and you're renting, you just
Yeah.
That's
And a lot of them are getting, a lot of the banks and that are getting a little less forgiving with that.
What did you do for work then? Sorry,
I was a painter and decorator.
you mentioned yeah.
I did a lot of things, and
Were you self-employed then?
no. I wanted to start my own business. It was one of, I did a lot of things, and I fell into a lot of things and fell out of a lot. I could never find something that I was comfortable doing, that I liked doing, until I fell into painting and decorating. It was one job I loved to do. I would get up in the morning, and I am the laziest of people in the world, you know. But this job I got up for earlier than I needed to. I was there early. I was the first one there, the last one to leave type thing. And I was buying my own house.
Did you buy the house? Were you laying
No. Ultimately, I didn't. I lost that in the divorce. It's a joke, but I did lose it to my ex.
So the divorce sort of came just
I
at the
wasn't.
same time.
That was a joke. I wasn't divorced, but me and my partner, my fiance, we were obviously going to get married. We were buying the house and all that, and things went tits up, and I moved out, which was the dumb thing, you know. The guy always moves out, which I've never really understood. Why should the guy always move out? Why does the guy always lose out, you know? If there's kids, I get it, you know. They've got to have something to fall back on.
So you don't have any children?
I've got a son.
You got a son?
Yeah. Grant, his name is.
Right.
He'll be 31 next year.
Are you in touch?
No. And I regret that very much. But at the same time, I'd rather be a bad father for not being in touch than a bad father for being there and being the person that I am, if that makes sense.
Yeah, but do you mean the person that perhaps you were? You seem like a very decent man.
Yes.
Maybe things have changed.
I mean, with my addictions and the lifestyle and whatnot.
Back then?
Yeah,
Or is it still-
yeah.
is it
Even it's not so much now, but recent history, yes. I mean, I'm only talking a year or so. But it's only the past 2 years that I've actually started screwing up properly, changed my life, turn things around.
That's one of the things. You don't look unhealthy. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's another wee joke I've always had. The only good things my parents gave me was good genes.
Good genes.
I've always been quite healthy in that respect. I've never had a broken bone in my life.
That was the next one you have. How does this?
I've been in hospital. I've had my tonsils out. I've had eye surgery, and I've had my appendix out.
Yeah.
And
Was that prior to the homeless situation?
no, this is just all through my life.
Okay,
And
so how does it work then? Because again, just trying to put myself and the viewers in your shoes.
sure.
If you're homeless, how do things work in the UK, England, with the NHS and health services? Are you still? Can you walk into a normal hospital then?
Yeah. Things aren't any different. If I have an health issue, I mean, I might get treated differently.
Just by people.
Nurses and the doctors.
But
Although
on paper, there's no separate rules or anything.
No. I was in hospital last year for my leg ulcer, because it was badly infected. Now, as a rule, as soon as they see on the paperwork drug addiction, they automatically treat you differently.
Why would that be on the paperwork? It might be my ignorance. Because if I walk in, I don't.
Because it's information we need to give. It's information.
So you have to tell them.
I suppose. Don't have to, but
Well, they will ask you.
a lot of the times we don't, because we know that we're going to get treated differently. However, last year I had to tell them because I was being admitted, and so they had to give me medication, relevant methadone, in other words, to my addiction. So, and as a rule, they will treat us differently. I am very surprised to say, and nobody is more surprised than me to say this, last year was an exception to the rule. They did not treat me differently for once. They treated me with respect, dignity even. They would, rather than normally, yeah, Mr. Durbin, here's your medicine, methadone. And where in this instance they would whisper it, for example. Whereas normally they wouldn't be so discreet about it, you know. So I'm very surprised at that. Grateful, but that's one of the reasons why we wouldn't declare it, why we wouldn't go to hospital, you know, why it took me so long to go in the first place.
Right.
Because we expect to be treated differently. Not that the rules are different, or not that we...
It's people's attitude.
Yeah, more than anything. Which is here.
Yeah, so we spoke on Monday, as you said.
Yeah.
And then we were looking at meeting up Tuesday yesterday, and it's Wednesday today. So quite quick, really. Really appreciate that. And one of the things we spoke about on Monday, I've just forgotten, even though I just looked at it. Proper rookie stuff, man. Anyway. Oh yeah, what I was asking you is, what keeps you going? Because again, putting myself in your shoes, I would, I would think, for me, as a Muslim, I'm a Muslim. I think the only thing that would keep me going is faith in God,
Sure.
in something out there.
Sure.
Otherwise, I think I can't even imagine how I'd keep going, man. Do you know what I mean? So I don't mean to be crude.
No.
But what?
One
what
thing
keeps
we
you going?
agreed on was to say it as it is,
Yeah.
so I appreciate that. I was quite flippant with my answer the other day when I said I'm Scottish, we fighters. And it was quite a flippant response actually, now that I think about it.
No, but I understood it. It's the way you brought up.
Yeah. But when I thought back on it, it was a flippant remark. It wasn't a serious remark. I tend to joke quite a lot, and I've got a very dry sense of humour, and sometimes it comes across that way, and sometimes it doesn't even come across as humour. So it's up and down. I no longer have to. I used to be religious.
But you brought up religious. It's not necessarily religion that I'm
No.
trying to talk about here. It's just
No,
you
I
and what
was
is it?
very into faith, to be honest. I lost that a long time ago.
What faith was it?
Church of England. My mother, in one of her moments of insanity, had us baptised Mormon. Only God knows why, but my grand, oh my God, she freaked. And the first opportunity she got us baptised Church of England. Just so we were not baptised Mormon. And
I find it quite interesting, the Mormon stuff.
yeah,
It's quite like strict, isn't it? I think. It's interesting to say the least.
to say the least, yes.
I don't know that.
You've got to
much,
give apparently you're not allowed to drink caffeine, smoke. You've got to give so much of your income away to the church. The one thing I do find interesting is you're allowed multiple wives. Not that I'm saying I would go down that route, but I find it interesting nonetheless. Legalised bigamy. It's an interesting concept to say the least.
So you said you've lost your faith, as in like you don't really believe in
I don't
in
believe
a
in God.
religious
No.
sense. You
I don't
believe
believe
in
in God. No.
So again, what keeps you going then? And it sort of links into the next part as well. I'm doing that little linking thing quite well.
Yeah. You're learning.
That's it. What's the bigger picture? What's the end goal?
Right.
What are you trying to achieve almost? And I don't want to sound crude.
No.
I question this myself, like, you know what I mean? Because I've explained I work quite a lot, and I think, what am I after?
I know. I was amazed when you told me. It's such a young age as well. Just total respect, mate. Total. There are days when I wonder how I keep going, and there are days where I wonder how could I not.
Is it just the will to live? I've asked my mum this a few times, and we've known of people in quite difficult circumstances, with abuse and domestic abuse.
Yeah.
Just people setting them on fire and stuff. I'm not trying to relate it to you.
No.
But just things where I thought, oh my God, like, would you want to live at this point? And what she always says is, Umar is out with family, but Umar. No one wants to die. Humans want to live. That's what it is. Is it something like that you're saying there?
For example, right? If you hold your breath, right?
Yeah, naturally.
For as long as you can, right? Now, by right, you should be able to suffocate yourself. At some point, your lungs will burst and burst and burst and burst. and your body will force you to breathe.
So your body just
It's
wants to survive.
it's a natural urge to survive.
And do you think the mind works the same way? The brain just wants to keep on going as well.
For the most part, yes. Obviously, there are situations and circumstances which beat that. You know, unfortunately, there's a lot of people out there who manage to kill themselves. And
Does that happen a lot with the whole? Is it a regular thing that you hear about? Or?
I hear of people dying all the time, but not through suicide, more through overdose and tablets and stuff like that.
So
or old age.
People want to live. As silly as it sounds,
Yeah,
there's, regardless of what position they're in.
yeah.
I mean, being homeless.
They're determined, aren't they? I'm telling you, they must go through some amount of clutches.
Yeah. I'm quite into cars myself.
Yeah, I love them myself.
Sorry, so what we're
No,
saying
no.
is. Anyone who wants to know. And not to belittle you, but from my understanding, I think a societal point of view, you consider someone who's lost their house and lost their job, almost being in almost the lowest point. You know, I don't know if you agree with that or not.
Right.
But what you're saying is, at that point, people still just want to live. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter whether they've got faith or what they want, or it's an innate feeling of.
The body has a natural urge to survive.
Yeah. Is that what you would say keeps you going?
Yes, but also I think there's more to it than that. You know, nature will always find a way. You know what I mean? Life will always find a way. More importantly. Ultimately, if we want to die that badly, we will find a way. You know, but for the most part, you have to hit rock bottom to know whether that's what you want or not. And even then, I don't think there is. I've always believed there isn't a rock bottom. There's always further to go. So we want to live for the most part. I just think it takes something life-changing, something specific, whether it's abuse, whether it's violence, whatever, to put us in the situation where it's that bad, you know.
Yes. So, sorry, Mal, I don't know how you do it. I'll be honest with you. But you're quite comfortable.
For the most part, it's not easy. I will admit that. But for the most part, again, suicide is a sin.
You believe
know what
so?
I mean? Huh? For the soul, yeah. I mean, I don't believe in God, but I believe there is a spiritual side to us.
So, like, it's against nature.
Yeah, I believe that. Yeah. If that makes sense.
No, it does. That's quite fascinating, to be honest. I won't delve in too much because I think that's probably hours on its own we could talk about.
Oh yeah.
That is it is quite interesting. Quite interesting. Yeah. So.
I am, unfortunately. Sometimes I can just get too deep, but
No, that's what we want, man. That's what we want. We want to know.
not necessarily what I want, but yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
No.
Well, you know, however you're
No,
comfortable
I know
with
the
it.
limits. I know the limits. Just go.
So, yeah, it's just touching back to what I mentioned earlier in terms of both short-term and long-term goals for yourself. And I can appreciate in the position you may be in at the moment, and you know better than I do, of course. It might be something that's difficult to even think about. But
Right.
how do you plan things? What is the plan? You said you're 49. You've just sort of met your sister. You know, quite
I
in touch with your
learned
son.
quite early on not to plan things. If I plan them, they don't happen. For example, we planned to meet yesterday and it didn't happen. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And tonight happened.
I think that was my fault. I texted him at 1:30 in the morning, so
It was something like that, and I was dead to the world
That's
at that
my
time.
fault.
Yeah. So, and I mean, I suppose you could technically say this was planned, but I would say it was more spontaneous than it was planned.
yeah, it was kind of just, are you free?
Because it wasn't until I woke up that I answered you, and then, you know, a couple of texts here and there before everything was agreed. So ultimately, technically planned, but technically not. So I stopped planning things because, you know, if I planned to go on holiday with someone, it never happened. If I tried to save money for something, it never happened. But if I just bought it, then it happened, you know. So I'm more spontaneous than I am anything. My immediate goal is to get a home, sort myself out, you know,
Sort yourself out in what way?
change my life, you know.
Well, what if you could list say 3 to 5 things that you could change right now? Are these things that you are in control of, or is it more like getting a job, which is a much bigger thing, you know, because it's not just you
No,
in control.
you're right there. You're right there. I'd say for the most part, yeah, they are in my control. I just need to pull my finger out.
I think that is a massive talking point, and again, it's not to put you down, but
No.
so but by the sounds of it, what you're saying is you're almost not blaming the world around you right now.
I'm not blaming the world around me at all.
At all, yeah. No, sorry, I didn't mean it that way. But
Oh no, I know you didn't, but what?
yeah, yes.
A lot of people will, you know, it's his fault, it's their fault, it's their fault. You know what? Just own it. You know what I mean?
Because people would think that houses are too expensive, jobs are not there, and that the government's not providing. Whereas,
The immigrants are taking all the
yeah.
jobs.
Whereas what you're saying right now is sort of the top 3 to 5 things that you want done now are already in your control.
The only thing I can blame on someone else, right, was me originally becoming homeless because of what my landlord did and the way he did it. Yeah. However, he gave me a choice, right? So.
You know what I mean? I just took it from him.
Oh my
You
God.
know what I mean? Oh, you had a bath?
Can I help you? Sorry, we're in the middle of something here.
I ain't taking. It's nice and dry, ain't it? Toasty and that.
Yeah. Can we just have 5 minutes? Is that okay?
That's not.
What's the best move?
I guess we're gonna have to call it a wrap for now.
You what? The grab Hector! Get up, you homo! Where you been?
What?
Yes, I'm whatever.
Let's get the shot.
Yeah.
That was more of a manly clap, innit? So I'll just explain to you guys what happened there, briefly. We were interrupted by someone who was sort of not in control of themselves. And the best thing to do, it's quite ironic how that happened while we were talking about stuff. I was just...
High as a kite.
Yeah. This lady, she was off her head anyway, but we won't go into that too much. This video has gone quite a lot longer than I thought, in a good way, because you know, Rabs just totally taken us into his mind, and he's given us very in-depth answers, which is really more than I could have asked for. So what we're going to do is I'm going to try and round it up here. Sorry for any background noise as well, guys. These guys have kindly... So, fried chicken, yeah? Not that anyone's going to watch this, but fried chicken on Winslow Road, they kindly let us in and let us record, while a couple other places were just no, even though we're spending money and no one's in the shop, we offered to be against the wall. Anyway, that's besides the point. That's my ranting over. So I'm just going to try and round this up, and what I might do, and guys, if you want to drop it in the comments, I think there's just so much more that we can cover, and if you're down, Rob, sometime in the future we can maybe do a part 2.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so the couple of things I think that we could do to round it up is how do you think we, as average person, walking past, so back out of your shoes into mine, I guess, what do you think that we could do to help people like yourselves? Or what could we not do to help people like yourselves as well? Obviously, the physical abuse is a no-brainer.
You know,
but
that is a
more in depth.
proper loaded question.
No, I
And there's
appreciate
no
that.
easy answer to that.
Right.
I mean, a lot of people would say, you know,
Just day-to-day
be
people
generous,
watching,
you know, give us money, whatever. I'm not going to say that. What I am going to say,
Is that part of it though? Is that?
not necessarily. I'm not saying it doesn't help, because obviously it does. But it's not the be-all and end-all. Do you know what? At the end of the day, we are people as well. Your viewers could so easily end up in this position. And when they decide not to be in denial about their lives, they'll realise quite how close they are themselves. And if they're honest with themselves, then they will even more realise quite how easily it could happen. Like we were discussing before, it's only a few paydays away.
Yeah.
You know,
People are living on the edge and they don't realise it.
I've-
So in
or
other
they
words,
won't admit it.
They won't
They're in denial about it, is how I see it.
so to put it crudely, a lot of people need to almost get off their high horse and stop thinking they're above it, and stop looking down at people like yourself.
You know what I've noticed, yeah? The people that give the most have the least. And the people that have the most give the least. And not that that's a reflection in any way, but it does say a lot. I think at the end of the day, just treat us like human beings. You know what I mean? If we ask you, even just speak to you, not necessarily asking you for something, at least have the common courtesy to answer us. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
9 people out of 10 on the Curry Mile, if you speak to them, even just speaking to them, they expect you to be asking for something. But you might not necessarily, you might be asking for the time, but they will completely ignore you.
They've almost desensitized to it.
Yeah.
It's just like furniture. So I think, correct me if I'm wrong here, what you're saying is just some respect.
Do you know what I mean? If we give it, then should we not receive it?
Yeah.
You know? When me and you met on Monday night, yeah, the main reason I agreed to do this, after, obviously it took the conversation we had where we got to know each other for me to agree to that.
Yeah.
However, in that short time that we spoke, I believe we came to a mutual respect of each other.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
And that was the main reason why I agreed to do this. That and the fact that it's another way to put across what we go through. And I think what we go through makes it harder, all the more harder actually, with that kind of disrespect, you know. It's one thing to be homeless and struggle the way we do, and have people ignore you, and you know. But if you've got people that are showing you a level of respect, they might think you're a piece of shit, yeah. But they don't necessarily have to tell us to our faces. Do you know what I mean? I mean, personally, I would prefer it. You know, at least an answer or a remark is better than no remark.
Yeah.
Do you get me?
Just to be acknowledged.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like
absolutely.
any other person in society.
Yes,
really.
yes. We were speaking before about Bolton when I was there and how I was infamous, if you want. Yeah. Apparently, you can look up on the web where it's how my sister found out about me, funnily enough, and she was telling me about how there are so many people that were actually talking good things about me. And these, I believe a lot of these people were people that I got to know well, and I could probably point quite a few of those people out. And this is what I'm saying, this is that level of respect, you know. I was highly regarded, and a lot of it, admittedly, was because of how well I looked after my dog, you know. I had arguments with people because they didn't believe I was homeless because of how well my dog was looked after.
I remember you saying that.
And that for me was a compliment, you know, despite the argument and how heated up it got, because I used to take it the wrong way. But then when I look back on it now, it's a compliment, you know, for them to say, you know, how can your dog be that well looked after and you be homeless? Thank you. That's what I say to them. Thanks, I appreciate that. Because you know what? That dog did come first. I might have been wrong taking him on the streets, but like I said earlier, I would do it again. He was my best mate, and he was the one thing that kept me going at that time. You know, and so yeah.
Is there anything you want to say to however many people watch this? I don't anticipate many at the start, but hopefully it will get out there, I hope.
You know, ultimately, I hope this achieves half what you're hoping it achieves. Because if it achieves as much as that, then we've got somewhere. Do you know what I mean? So
those are quite
to all those people out there, you know, it's, I really hope this means something. Because I'd hate to think we've gone through all that for nothing. You know, I don't think it will. I think it will get.
Even if it changes a couple perceptions, it only takes
if it
that to trigger
one,
others.
If it changes one, I'll be happy. You know
I'm confident it will at least change one.
So am I, but I'm just being devil's advocate.
Okay, I think we'll wrap it up there then, Rab. If you guys want to catch a part 2, again, I'll just reiterate, it's ended up being quite a lot longer than before, and again, it's gone better than I could have hoped, so I don't say that in a bad way. But it's too much to put in, it's almost ended up like a podcast, so it's too much to put in the whole, you know, continuing, it's just too much for one video. So we'll wrap it up here, and if you guys let me know in the comment section what you thought. I've been reluctant to say because I don't want to give false promises or anything, but I don't know if there's a way, if this gets out there to enough people, if there's some way we can help you, or, you know, I'll have to look into it, do you know what I mean? But I don't think there'll be any immediate sort of thing going on. But I hope some point in the future, with the power of the internet and the power of you guys at home, we can see, you know, you're a genuine, sincere person. And I'll try and do whatever I can, pretty much, with whatever I've sort of
Greatly
tried to do here.
appreciated.
Do you know what I mean?
For the end of the day, I just hope this achieves, and that would be enough for me right now.
So guys, if you haven't already, hit the subscribe button, like the video, comment down below what you thought. If you want to see a part 2, I say if you want to see a part 2. If you watched it this far, you definitely want to see a part 2, because it's obviously pulled you in. I almost don't want to end it because he's a lovable guy, Rab. For the short while I've known him.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, man. Do you know what I mean? So, yeah, take care.
Till next time. Peace.
You see, he knows what he's doing. I don't even know what I'm doing. Alright, we'll cut it there. Cut.